I was sitting in my apartment on a Tuesday evening, finally feeling like I had made it. 3 years of building this life from scratch, a decent job as a software engineer, my own place with a view of the city lights. I had worked hard to keep this address private, shared it only with my girlfriend Sarah and my best friend Marcus. When the doorbell rang at 8 p.m., my stomach tightened. Nobody should be here. I opened the door, and there stood Kyle, my stepbrother, with a massive backpack and that familiar smirk I had not seen in 3 years. "Hey, bro, Dad gave me your address. I need a place to crash for a while. Before I tell you what happened next, I want to know where you are watching from. Drop your city in the comments below. If you have ever had to set boundaries with family members who refuse to respect them, hit that like button right now. And subscribe, because this story gets way more complicated than I ever imagined. Trust me, you will want to hear how I handled what came after that moment at the door. Let me take you back to why I cut contact with my father in the first place. When my dad Robert remarried Linda 12 years ago, I was just 18 and trying to figure out my own path. Linda brought her 16-year-old son Kyle into our lives, and from the beginning, something felt off. Kyle had this sense of entitlement that my father seemed blind to always taking his side, no matter what happened. I remember the first major incident clearly. Kyle borrowed my laptop for a school project without asking, claiming Dad said it was fine. When he returned it 3 days later, the screen was cracked and the keyboard had coffee stains. I was furious. That laptop cost me 6 months of savings from my part-time job at the grocery store. When I confronted Kyle, he shrugged and said, "Accidents happen." I went to Dad expecting support. Instead, he told me I should have been watching Kyle more carefully and that family helps each other out without keeping score. That became the pattern for the next 2 years. Kyle would take money from my wallet sometimes, $20, sometimes $50. When I installed a lock on my door, Dad made me remove it, saying we did not keep secrets in this family. The car incident was the breaking point before I left for college. Kyle took my car one night while I was sleeping, said he needed to pick up a friend. He crashed it into a mailbox coming home at 3 a.m. Dad paid for the repairs, but spent the entire time lecturing me about how I should have hidden my keys better, and how I needed to be more responsible about my possessions around my younger brother. Not once did he address Kyle's behavior. Not once did Kyle apologize. The final straw before I moved out came 2 weeks before my high school graduation. I had been working on my senior project for months, a detailed portfolio that would determine my scholarship opportunities. I kept everything in my room organized in folders. One afternoon, I came home early from my shift to find Kyle in my room, papers scattered everywhere. He had been searching for something, and in the process destroyed months of work. Pages were torn, my sketches crumpled, important documents missing. When I lost it and yelled at him, Kyle claimed he was just looking for a charger. Dad heard the commotion, and instead of addressing the destruction, told me to calm down and stop overreacting. That was it. I finished high school, packed my essentials, and moved across the state for college. I kept minimal contact, just obligatory holiday calls that felt hollow and forced. 3 years ago, the final break happened. Kyle was 25 by then and had been arrested for drug possession. Dad called me at 11 p.m., his voice tight with desperation. He needed $5,000 for bail. I had just started my first real job after college and was drowning in student loan payments. My savings account had exactly $700. I told Dad I could not help. He exploded. Called me selfish, ungrateful, said I was abandoning family when they needed me most. I tried to explain my financial situation, but he was not listening. He told me Kyle was my brother, and I had a responsibility. I finally said what I had been holding back for years. Kyle is not my responsibility. You enabled him his whole life, and now you are dealing with the consequences. If you do not help family, then you are dead to me, Dad said. Then I guess I am dead to you, I replied. I hung up, blocked his number, and moved apartments without telling anyone. For 3 years I had peace. Now here was Kyle, standing at my door like those 3 years never happened. "How did you get this address?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. Dad gave it to me. "Come on, man, it is freezing out here," Kyle replied, shifting his weight from foot to foot. My mind raced. Dad had promised when I blocked him that he would respect my boundaries if I ever reached out again. I never reached out, and now I knew why. Every instinct screamed at me to slam the door, but Kyle looked genuinely rough. Dark circles under his eyes, unshaven face, clothes that had seen better days. That old programming kicked in, the one Dad had installed over years of guilt trips. Maybe I should help, just for tonight. I will figure this out tomorrow. I stepped aside and let him in. First mistake. Kyle immediately dropped his bags in the middle of my living room and asked where the shower was. I pointed down the hall, feeling my apartment already shrinking around me. While he showered, I made sandwiches, my hands moving on autopilot, while my brain tried to process what just happened. Kyle emerged 20 minutes later in clean clothes from his bag, hair wet, looking more like the cocky kid I remembered. He ate both sandwiches I had made, then grabbed a third from the kitchen. Between bites, he told me his story. Job fell through. Girlfriend kicked me out. Just need to get back on my feet. No apology for the years of silence. No acknowledgement of the past. Just the assumption that I would help. I set up the couch with blankets and a pillow. "Thanks, bro. I knew I could count on you," Kyle said, before sprawling out and turning on my television. I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, every muscle tense. I texted Sarah. Something came up. Family stuff. I will explain tomorrow. The next morning I went to work and tried to focus. When I returned that evening, my apartment looked like a tornado hit it. Food wrappers on the coffee table dishes in the sink, my gaming console pulled out with controllers scattered across the floor. Kyle was on my couch, playing video games completely at home. "Oh yeah, hope you do not mind I used your setup." "Mine is in storage," he said, without looking up from the screen. I bit my tongue, went grocery shopping to replace everything he had eaten, and told myself it was temporary. Day 4. I noticed my good whiskey, a bottle I had been saving for special occasions, was half empty. Kyle was supposedly looking for jobs, but I only saw him scrolling on his phone. "When are you planning to move out?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "Come on, man. I just got here. Give me time." "How long is time?" I pressed. He got defensive immediately. "Dad said you would help me. Guess he was wrong about you changing." That stung more than it should have. Friday night, Sarah came over for dinner. I had been looking forward to this all week, a chance to talk about us, maybe watch a movie. Kyle inserted himself into our plans, without asking, sitting down at the table like he belonged there. He made comments about Sarah that made her uncomfortable, drank 4 of my beers, and dominated the conversation with stories about his ex-girlfriend. Sarah pulled me aside while Kyle was in the bathroom. "How long is he staying?" she asked, concern clear in her voice. "I do not know. I am trying to figure it out. He is taking advantage, Wilson. You know that, right?" I did know, but admitting it felt like admitting I was weak. After Sarah left, clearly unhappy, Kyle had the nerve to say she seemed uptight and that I should loosen up. I wanted to throw him out right then, but exhaustion won. "I will deal with this tomorrow," I told myself. Tomorrow became next week. Monday morning of the second week, I woke up to find Kyle already awake, which was unusual. Then I saw what he was wearing. My expensive hoodie, the one I had bought myself as a reward for my last promotion. "Hope you do not mind. All my stuff is still at my ex-place," Kyle said casually. "Actually, I do mind." "That is mine," I said firmly. He rolled his eyes. "It is just a hoodie. Family shares right, wrong. Family asks. Family respects boundaries." But I did not say that. I grabbed coffee and left for work, already dreading coming home. My work was suffering. I had a major project deadline approaching, and I could not focus. My boss noticed during our Tuesday meeting. "Everything okay, Wilson? You seem off lately." I assured him everything was fine, but it was not. I was constantly worried about what Kyle was doing in my apartment. Wednesday, I left work early claiming a headache. What I found when I got home made my blood boil. Kyle had 2 strangers in my apartment. They were drinking my beer music blasting, and I could smell marijuana. My neighbor from across the hall was standing at her door looking angry. "Who are these people?" I demanded. "Just some friends." "Relax, man," Kyle said, barely glancing up. I kicked his friends out, immediately ignoring their protests. After they left, I unleashed on Kyle. "You brought strangers into my home without asking. You are being just like Dad said you would be." "Selfish," Kyle yelled back. The word hit like a slap. Selfish. The same word Dad used 3 years ago. "I let you stay here out of kindness, and this is how you repay me," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "I am family. You are supposed to help me. You need to leave by this weekend." "Where am I supposed to go?" Kyle challenged. "That is not my problem anymore." "You have had 2 weeks." Kyle stormed off to the bathroom and slammed the door. I called Marcus immediately. He came over within an hour. I told him everything, all the incidents, all the boundary violations. "Dude, you need to get him out now. He is not going to leave on his own," Marcus said. "I know. But I keep thinking, what if I am being too harsh? You are not. He broke your boundaries from day one. You do not owe him anything." Marcus gave me the confidence I needed. Tomorrow I would take action. Thursday, everything exploded. I came home from work to an empty apartment. Kyle was gone, which was strange because he never went anywhere. Then I saw my work laptop on the coffee table. Open. I never left my work laptop at home. It stayed in my locked bedroom drawer when I was not using it. My heart pounding, I rushed to my bedroom. The drawer lock was broken pieces of metal on the floor. Panic set in as I grabbed the laptop. Someone had accessed my recent files. My bank statements had been viewed. My work email had been opened. Confidential emails read. My personal photos folder browsed. My hands shook with rage as the violation sank in. Kyle returned an hour later with shopping bags, new clothes, new sneakers, looking pleased with himself. "Where did you get money for that?" I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. "Found some side work." "Why?" he answered. "Did you break into my drawer?" His face changed, guilt flashing before defensiveness took over. "I just needed to check something online." "My phone died. You went through my personal files. I did not take anything. Stop being paranoid." The casual dismissal, the complete lack of remorse, something inside me snapped. "You broke my lock. You invaded my privacy. Get out now." "I have nowhere to go," Kyle said, but there was less confidence in his voice now. "Call Dad. Since he is the one who sent you here, he is not going to let me back. That is why he sent me to you." I froze. "What?" The truth came spilling out. Dad and Linda had kicked Kyle out 2 months ago. He had been couch surfing since then, burning through friends one by one, until nobody would take him. Dad finally gave Kyle my address as a last resort. "Dad told me your brother owes us." "Make him help you," Kyle admitted. The betrayal cut deeper than I expected. This was not about helping Kyle temporarily. This was Dad dumping his problem onto me, using me as a solution without even asking, without even warning me. I pulled out my phone and called Dad, my hands shaking. "Wilson, is everything okay?" Dad answered, his voice cautious. "You gave Kyle my address. He is your brother. He needed help. He has been here 2 weeks. You did not even warn me. I knew you would not say yes if I asked, so you ambushed me instead." The argument escalated quickly. "Family helps family," Dad insisted. "You kicked him out. If he is family, why did you not help him? We have been dealing with him for years. It is your turn. My turn. I cut contact for a reason. You are being selfish, just like you have always been." There it was again. Selfish, I am selfish. You dumped your responsibility on me without asking. Then Dad went for the throat. Your mother would be ashamed of you. My mother died when I was 12. Using her memory as a weapon was unforgivable. Real men take care of family. Kyle looks up to you. You are breaking his heart. But I saw through it all now. The manipulation, the guilt trips, the complete disregard for my boundaries. Kyle is leaving this weekend, and you are out of my life for good this time. You will regret this. The only thing I regret is answering the door 2 weeks ago. I hung up and blocked his number again. Then I sat on my floor, processing the weight of everything. The anger, the hurt, the years of accumulated pain, all crashing down at once. But underneath it all, a clarity was forming. I knew what I had to do. Friday morning, I took the day off work. Kyle was still asleep on my couch when I started researching tenant laws. Since he had not paid rent, had no lease, and had been here less than 30 days, he was not legally a tenant. I could remove him. I called my landlord to confirm, then texted Marcus. I am doing it today. Can you come? On my way, he replied immediately. At 10 a.m., I woke Kyle up. Kyle, you need to pack. You are leaving today. What? No, he started. This is not a discussion. You have until 3 p.m. to pack and leave. You cannot just kick me out, Kyle protested. Actually, I can. You are not a tenant. You have violated my trust repeatedly. You are leaving. Kyle tried everything. He tried guilt. I am your brother. You have never treated me like a brother. You have treated me like a resource. He tried threats. Dad will be so angry. I do not care. I already talked to him. He tried bargaining. Give me 1 more week. I will do better. No. Today. He tried playing victim. Where am I supposed to go? You can call Dad, or Linda, or those friends you brought over. Not my problem. When Marcus arrived, Kyle finally realized he was outnumbered. He started packing, muttering insults under his breath. I did not engage. By 2 p.m., his bags were by the door. At the threshold, Kyle made one last attempt. You are going to regret this. Family is supposed to stick together. Real family does not manipulate and use each other. Real family respects boundaries. You have changed. No, I just stopped letting you take advantage of me. Kyle left, slamming the door behind him. I locked it immediately and added the chain lock. The exhale that escaped me felt like releasing 3 years of held breath. You did the right thing, Marcus said, patting my shoulder. I hoped he was right. The harassment started that evening. 15 missed calls from blocked numbers, voicemails from Dad filled with anger and accusations. Linda called from her number. How could you do this to Kyle? I did not answer. Text messages poured in from unknown numbers, Kyle using his friends' phones. You are heartless. I hope you are happy. When you need help, do not come crying to us. I screenshot everything documenting the harassment and blocked each new number. The next day, I paid a locksmith to change all my locks completely. I updated my emergency contacts at work, removing Dad. Each action felt like reclaiming my life. Sarah came over Friday night. I told her everything, all the details I had been holding back. I am proud of you. That took courage, she said. I feel guilty, though. What if I was too harsh? You set a boundary. That is healthy. He violated every rule from day one. We ordered Thai food and watched a comedy. For the first time in weeks, I laughed genuinely in my own home. Saturday, I deep cleaned the apartment, erasing traces of Kyle. Behind the couch, I found my good whiskey bottle completely empty and hidden. I also discovered items missing. My wireless headphones, my favorite coffee mug, a book I had been reading. Kyle had stolen from me on his way out. The discovery renewed my anger, but also validated every decision I had made. Sunday brunch with Marcus helped process everything. How you feeling? He asked over pancakes. Relieved. Angry. But mostly relieved. You know you did the right thing, yeah. Yeah. I just wish it did not have to be this way. You cannot control how others act. You can only control your response. His words stuck with me. In the week following the eviction, extended family started reaching out. My aunt called. I heard what happened. Cannot you give Kyle another chance? I explained the full story, holding nothing back. Oh, I did not know all that. Robert made it sound like you just kicked Kyle out for no reason. That is because he did not tell the full truth, I replied. Some family members understood once they heard my side. Others sided with Dad. I made peace with losing those relationships. You cannot force people to see what they refuse to acknowledge. My work life stabilized immediately. Without the constant stress, I met my project deadline successfully. My boss noticed. Good to see you back on track. Had to deal with some family issues. They are resolved now, I said simply. I kept professional boundaries, did not elaborate. 2 weeks after the eviction on a Wednesday evening, Kyle showed up again. I saw him through the peephole and did not open the door. Come on, Wilson, let me in. I need to talk, he called through the door. No, you are not welcome here. I just need... He tried again. If you do not leave, I am calling the police. You would not. I pulled out my phone and started dialing 911. Fine. You are dead to me anyway, Kyle shouted before storming off. I filed a police report that night, creating a paper trail in case he returned. The next day, I sent one final email to Dad from a new email address. Subject line, final communication. Body. You violated my trust by giving Kyle my address without permission. Kyle violated my home and privacy. I am done. Do not contact me again. Do not send anyone to my home. Any further contact will be considered harassment. I sent copies to Linda and Kyle, then blocked all their email addresses. The weight that lifted from my shoulders was immense. For the first time in my adult life, I felt completely free. The first month after the eviction, my apartment transformed back into a home. I could leave my work laptop on my desk without fear. I could stock my refrigerator, knowing the food would be there when I wanted it. I could have Sarah over without an awkward third presence. The relief was physical. When Sarah suggested therapy, I initially resisted. I am fine, I insisted, but nightmares about family confrontations kept waking me up at 3 a.m. I decided to try one session. In that first meeting, I unloaded years of family dysfunction onto a stranger. The therapist listened without judgment and then said something that changed my perspective. You did the right thing. Setting boundaries is self-care, not selfishness. Hearing a professional validate my choice helped quiet the guilt. I started rebuilding my sense of safety through small changes. I varied my work schedule slightly in case Kyle was watching. I started using a different grocery store across town. I reconnected with college friends I had lost touch with during the chaos. Marcus and I joined a gym together, finding a healthy outlet for stress. I took up cooking, discovering that following recipes and creating something from scratch was therapeutic. My relationship with Sarah deepened in unexpected ways. She had seen me at my absolute worst, stressed and barely holding it together, and she stayed. She supported me without judgment. I realized this was what real support looked like. Not guilt trips and manipulation, but actual care and respect. We started talking about our future together, moving slowly, but with a genuine foundation. 3 months after the eviction, I got promoted at work. My boss called me into her office on a Friday afternoon. Your performance has been outstanding lately, Wilson. I want to offer you the senior developer position. The promotion came with a significant raise and more responsibility. As I accepted, I realized something profound. The stress of having Kyle in my home had been affecting every area of my life. My work, my relationship, my mental health, all of it suffered under that weight. Now that I was free, I was thriving. More energy, better focus, genuinely happier. That same week, my cousin Emma found me on social media. We had been close as kids, but lost touch over the years. Emma messaged me directly. I heard what happened. Dad's side of the family is being ridiculous. We talked on the phone for 2 hours. She shared her own Kyle story. He asked to stay with me last year. Within 3 days, he stole $200 from my purse. I kicked him out, and Dad called me heartless. I had no idea, I said. Because Dad never mentions it. He is always protecting Kyle. Always has been. Learning. I was not alone in this experience changed something. We were not bad people. We were people protecting ourselves from someone who refused to change. Emma and I started meeting for coffee every few weeks, rebuilding a relationship that family drama had fractured. 4 months after everything, I ran into Kyle at a downtown coffee shop. It was inevitable in a city this size, but I was not prepared for it. He saw me first. I watched his face change from recognition to something that might have been shame. He approached my table. "Hey," he said quietly. "Kyle," I responded neutrally. "Look, he hesitated. "I am sorry. For everything." I studied him carefully. He looked worse than the day he left. Scraggly beard, deeper circles under his eyes, clothes hanging off a thinner frame. The apology seemed genuine, but it did not change anything. I appreciate that. But it does not change anything. I know. I just wanted you to know. "Good luck with everything, Kyle," I said, standing up with my coffee. I walked past him and did not look back. No guilt, no anger, just neutrality. It was the freedom I had been seeking. In that moment, I realized something important. I did not hate Kyle. I did not hate Dad. I did not even hate Linda for enabling everything. I just did not want them in my life anymore, and that was perfectly okay. Not every relationship needs to be salvaged. Some relationships are toxic by nature, and walking away is not giving up. It is self-preservation. Over the following months, I learned lessons that changed how I viewed family and obligation. About boundaries, I learned they are not walls built to keep people out. They are gates where you decide who gets to pass through. Setting boundaries is not mean. It is necessary for survival. People who truly respect you will respect your boundaries without argument. People who do not respect boundaries do not deserve access to your life. About family, I learned that blood does not equal obligation. The family title does not justify toxic behavior. You can love someone from a distance without letting them destroy your peace. It is okay to choose peace over forced connection. You do not owe anyone your mental health, your safety, or your home. About myself, I learned I was stronger than I believed. I could stand up for myself even when it meant standing alone. I did not need validation from people who hurt me. My worth was not determined by whether my father accepted me. I deserved a peaceful home and a peaceful life, and I was willing to fight for it. 1 year after Kyle knocked on my door, I stood at my apartment window, looking out at the city lights. Sarah was beside me, and we were planning a vacation to the coast. My phone rang with an unknown number. I looked at the screen, then at Sarah. She smiled knowingly. I let it go to voicemail. I put the phone face down on the counter and turned to Sarah. "Let us go grab dinner," I said. We left the apartment, and I did not think about that call again. Life went on, and it was peaceful in ways I had forgotten were possible. So, am I the jerk for evicting my stepbrother after my dad secretly gave him my address? Maybe some people think I am. And you know what, I am okay with that. Because at the end of the day, I protected my peace, my home, and my boundaries. I am not responsible for fixing people who do not want to be fixed. I am not responsible for carrying burdens that are not mine to carry. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is close the door on people who refuse to respect it being open. And that is not being a jerk. That is being human. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to cut off a family member to protect your peace? What would you have done in my situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to the channel because I share more real-life stories like this every week. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it helps someone out there realize that choosing yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. Take care of yourselves, and remember your peace matters more than anyone's opinion of you. Until next time.